Well, here we go again, folks. Another trans athlete making headlines, and this time in college swimming. So, welcome back to the channel today, everyone. I woke up today with a headline that read, UPenn Transgender Swimmer continues dominant season with more record-breaking wins. So naturally, I had to go in and see what the buzz was all about. I hadn't really followed this. As you know, I've kind of been out of the loop for a few weeks, but I am back with more content. So, Leah Thomas is a swimmer for UPenn, and apparently she's been breaking records all season. At the Zippy Invitational in Akron, Ohio, she broke the Ivy League record in the 500 freestyle, among other records that she broke that day. Leah is quoted saying, "Swimming is a huge part of my life and who I am. I've been a swimmer since I was 5 years old. Being trans has not affected my ability to do this sport, and being able to continue is very rewarding." Well, no shit, it hasn't affected your ability to compete. You went through male puberty, and now you're competing against women. And what's even worse about this is she was an elite male competitor. She competed for 2 years on the UPenn men's team, and then was able to transition and now compete as females. So I decided I needed to see what the NCAA standards for trans athletes competing are. So I went in to the NCAA Inclusion of Transgender Student Athletes Office of Inclusion handbook. And folks, I gotta tell you, this is worse than what I thought it was. It only requires a trans person to be on testosterone suppression for a year. The policy states a trans female, male to female, student athlete being treated with testosterone suppression medication for gender identity disorder or gender dysphoria and or transsexualism for the purpose of NCAA competition may continue to compete on a men's team, but may not compete on a women's team without changing it to a mixed team status until completing 1 calendar year of testosterone suppression treatment. I mean, never mind the fact that only 25% of trans women can get their estrogen or their testosterone levels into female levels with Spiro alone. Now, spironolactone is the drug that they use for testosterone suppression. Estradiol will also help with testosterone suppression. It will become more dominant with the help of the Spiro. But without surgery, only 25% can actually get into female levels. I will have a link below for that in the description, that study and everything like that, so you can read it yourself. But it begs the question. So even the IOC guidelines say that your levels have to be within, a specific range, for before you can compete. And that timeline was actually moved out to 2 years, a few years ago, actually, because the data has changed. I've also done a video a few weeks ago on the change from the UK, because as you know, so the UK changed the way that their guidance is because more data came out that said, if you've gone through male puberty, your advantage really can never be erased, which is what we've been saying for a long time, but now the data is starting to catch up. So really, these rules by the NCAA are not based in science. They're only based in cultural inclusion. And which is why I say that Title IX is essentially dead. If you are not going to look at the data and the science and you're only going off of inclusion, and, you don't want to hurt trans people's feelings, that is wrong. And it just hurts women. I mean, I've told my anecdotal stories in the past as well, and I don't see any way that it would be fair for me to compete with biological females. Even though, yes, I have had a loss in muscle mass, I've had a loss in performance, I've had a loss in a lot of these areas. but I also see every day at the gym how everything that I've done throughout my life and how I've built my body, through sports growing up, through high school, when I went through puberty, through my 7.5 years in the Army. And now I get into the gym and I've been on test. I'm coming up on 3 years into my transition on HRT, and I can still see the advantages that I have. And I've talked about those in the past. So you can kind of go look at other videos that I've done based on some of that anecdotal evidence. But this whole thing, it just baffles me that the NCAA, they haven't even kept up with the data that's come out. It would be one thing if these female athletes had a choice in competing, but they don't. I mean, this is a college swim team. Female athletes have zero choice when it comes to this. They are being forced to compete with biological men in terms of inclusion. This is not based in fairness, which is what the original intent of Title IX was to be: give females the same opportunities as males. But it seems like males have started to infiltrate female sports. It's really sad. More women need to be standing up against this. The women's march should really be marching on the NCAA headquarters in outrage of this. But as we know, they won't, mostly out of fear of being called TERFs and many other names and being labeled as, non-inclusive of trans women and all this stuff. When it's biological females that are getting hurt when it comes to this stuff. This person is taking away a spot, a scholarship on a team for biological females and taking away that spot from a biological female, which is what Title IX was initially implemented for. It's amazing that so many feminists have lost sight of what they're fighting for. So to biological women out there, all I can say is I'm sorry. And I will stand with you on the side of science and fairness every single time. This is not representative of the majority of trans people. And none of the trans people that I know or hang out with believe that we should be infiltrating trans sports. It's time to make your voices heard. And I also call to the transsexuals out there like me who are sick of seeing our name dragged in the mud because of activists and because of people like this who don't care and are selfish and are narcissistic, and it's all about them. But anyway, folks, thank you for watching this channel. Make sure you click that like and subscribe button. Go follow me across social media platforms. That's usually where you can interact with me and I'm hanging out. And I will see you guys next time.